Well, when Catherine asked us to, called us, I guess, a month or two ago, and said, hey, how would you like to come out? We've got this great Game Changer Award for you. We're super excited about this. And we said yes, because both Mike and I are really delighted to actually be here with a group that's doing so much good work, Coalition of Concerned Manufacturers and Businesses. I've gotten to know you guys over the year because we're in the network together, and I'll talk more about the network. But it's just really important work that's being done, and I hope I communicate to you tonight that this is a big network, and what each of these groups is doing is actually super important. So huge thank you for all being here. Catherine and Jocelyn, you're rock stars. We just love everything that you're doing. We're really honored. Mike and I are really honored to be here too. And as I think everyone knows, that making change is a huge team sport. We're relentless perseverers. I think Jocelyn and Catherine and many in this room are relentless perseverers too. But we believe in the power of the team to make a difference, and we can do it together. So thanks again for a fabulous night. These are friends. We have friends tonight in the room. Our network is Friends Across Canada. They're really working at making Canada great again. And that's, sorry about the Trump allegiance. There's no Trump allegiance here. Although if I had been able to vote in the US, I probably would have voted for him. But I didn't have to. But Canada's like a great country with so much potential, and I think the passion for our country, the potential that everyone can see is really what everyone in this room has in common, so we're excited about that. Pierre, if you're still in the room, I'm not sure if you are. Thank you for listening and learning about the potential of Canada's oil and gas industry and all our other natural resources, and really your commitment to try to unleash Canada and really turning that knowledge, that listening and learning into solid plans that actually would lean on the energy sector to help make Canada great again. We all know that many of your ideas that are now on the public political agenda, that's actually what's leading the charge. So if it's any consolation, this is the Oscar Wilde quote, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery that mediocrity can pay to greatness. So Pierre, we're really appreciative of how you've listened and how you've embraced the sector and what we can do for Canada. Anthony, thanks for the kind introduction. Joe, so nice to see you again. We've gotten to know each other a little bit over the years. You're just a huge inspiration to everyone in the room, and the work you continue to do and be an advocate for energy is huge as well. So thanks for being here tonight too. And Mike, I'll say saving the best for last is Mike. In the past, I've actually dubbed Mike a saint, and I've actually said that publicly. So huge thanks for just being for coaching so many of us, supporting us, cheering us on, inspiring us to work hard and just be better people. And so many of us have been the recipient of all of that. So thank you for that. So I've had so many things to be grateful for in my life, not the least of which is the privilege to work in business. And it's such a platform for doing things that matter in the world. And everyone here, you're all part of businesses. Manufacturing is the focus, but we are all making a difference in the world, and that's what matters. People say, well, when are you going to retire? Well, I don't know why we would, because it gets harder to make a difference in the world when you move into that stage of your life. And this is like the sweet spot for doing it. And it's really on the back of business. And, for us at Rubellite, we're finding oil and gas. We are finding and delivering, producing a fungible molecule, but it's making the world a better place. And our people know that, they get that. It's got a huge ripple effect to the economy. Our little company spends $100 million a year on capital, of another 100 on just running our business. It's a drop in the bucket for what the energy business does. Tourmaline spends $2.6 billion a year. The sector spends $50 billion a year, and think of the ripple effect, the enormous impact that has to the people local in around our operations, but all the way across the country to the manufacturing sector here, and making our energy affordable. It's just a huge privilege to be able to serve the community in that way. And when you think about serving the community, it's not just about the in the house impact. It's and every one of us in the room is actually making this. It's kind of what we do outside our company walls. And so when we're tapped on the shoulder and we say yes to make something better, we participate in our industry organizations, our chambers of commerce, being part of the Energy Advocacy Network, which I think is really what the Coalition of Concerned Manufacturers and Businesses is all about. Those things really matter and make a difference. So it was about 10 years ago that we all started realizing that we needed a whole new approach, though, to advocacy. And we've talked about not being afraid and standing up and saying things. But we also realized we had to do it differently. Like, it couldn't just be what our industry organizations were doing. It couldn't just be what the Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers said. We weren't really making an impact. And so we actually stepped back and said, okay, what is going on here? 10 years ago, we realized that the voice against our industry, our opponents, had gotten so powerful. And how did they do that? How did we not even notice? So that voice had a 15-year head start on us, but they're coordinated, they're strategic, they created catastrophic climate change narrative with consequences so dire that we actually have a generation of kids that thinks they might not have children because it's not a safe world to bring kids back into. It's very difficult to prove them wrong. The science is settled. That's their dialogue. They've penetrated. They manipulated the voices of our Indigenous communities. They penetrated the schools, the universities, and they had free rein because there was no counter voice. We were not, even as industry, we weren't raising our voice to the public. We thought that all we had to do was talk to government, we would get good policy, and that would work. And then it turned out that our government was them, and that became very, very scary, actually. So it's evident that we had to do something different, and we needed a new tact, and we needed to get coordinated, we needed to get strategic, we needed to get well-funded, and we needed to get talking to the public. Our opponents could no longer be the only voice sharing the dialogue. We had to get some counter voice in there. So, I recall about 10 years ago visiting with Prime Minister Harper, who's still one of my very favorite people. And he told us very bluntly that industry is doing a very bad job of making space for good policy. We're not standing up for ourselves. They can't make good policy into the narrative that is going on right now. And then it became worse, of course, as the government changed. So we needed to get into the public advocacy world. It wasn't just about sending our GRP people to Ottawa anymore or to Edmonton. It really needed to change. So as a collective, we started to embrace this idea of multiple parallel voices. And I do have a couple of slides, actually. And you're not intended to read these slides, but just to see that we've kind of taken the same tact collectively as a group, whether we know it or not. There's all sorts of us that we don't even know about in this matrix, but taken the same tact that our opponents are taking that works so effectively. This multiple parallel voices. It's not just industry up there speaking even to the public or government, but it's many voices tackling many audiences. It's about who we're talking to, what we're talking about. It's how we're talking to them. We're supporting a network now, I would say, of about 120 different what we call thought leaders that are really taking these different messages and all kind of bringing the public into the narrative. And I think it's starting to work. Now, we had some really positive tailwinds the last little while. The affordability crisis actually happened to be a tailwind for us, which was great. The Trump tariffs, that's a huge tailwind for us. And so people started listening. But, I think that we're seeing the fruits of our labor starting to show up. So, when you think about this matrix, we've got all sorts of organizations, and some of the industry organizations are still in there. CAP, the Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers, we finally found our lane. We say we're generating data with veracity for industry to support the groups in the public advocacy network and also for government. Canada Action, I talked to someone earlier tonight about I love Canadian oil and gas, and I said, there's t-shirts for that, and everyone's seen those Canada Action t-shirts. And then Canadians for Concerned Manufacturers and Businesses. This is, you guys have a lane. You are talking with your voice to the people that can make a difference at hearing your voice, and that's what the network is. And it's beyond just the groups and the network. We're actually getting coordinated. So we're talking to each other. We're coordinating campaigns. When the news flow actually supports no more carbon taxes, we're all talking about the same thing. And that makes a difference too when you've got many voices kind of saying the same thing at the same time. So huge positive momentum. And I'll just flip through some of the campaigns that you see out there by all sorts of different of these 120 plus organizations. And there's more than 120 because I found out there's some that we don't even know about. But and when I say we, I don't mean we like we're coordinating all of this. It's we're recognizing it as an industry. We're trying to support and fund, bring them together. But these often are just green grassroots organizations that have decided that they have something to say that matters, that they can make a difference for Canadians here. So social media campaigns, there's TVs, podcasts, news media. We heard about, Dan, you're up there. I don't know if you see yourself. We heard about the news forum today, and the mediums matter. There's billboards, transit, radio. You'll see this across the country, radio shows being hosted, billboards showing up. And lots gets written now in op-eds or in media, in the news. And these groups are connected to each other, documentaries being built, scholarship programs. It all matters. It's all making a difference. And, it's making a huge difference. So one of the groups that I want to maybe share a little bit about is a group called Canada Powered by Women. And this is a group that about 5 years ago, the super passionate group of ladies started meeting in Calgary, like, what could we do about this? What could our voice be? And, it actually sometimes takes a little while to even figure out this framework and where your voice, what that voice has to sound like, but where it can actually be impactful. So CPW is part of the Thought Leader Network. Their mission is to inspire and facilitate positive conversations to influence the energy transformation dialogue. So we have a growing audience, and again, it's great to take advantage of the tailwinds. When we're talking to engaged women and we're listening to engaged women, and then our commitment is to amplify the voice of engaged women in this energy transformation dialogue. And there's a lot of things on this chart. You can't even really see the outline of Canada on there, which is fine, but I'll just tell you the gist of it is that the audience of engaged women is growing. It's probably more than doubled, and it's from our polling that we do with Leger, the audience of women in this conversation that are tuned in and want to be part of this energy dialogue is 6.7 million women in Canada, so 42% of the women in Canada. And they're not necessarily politically inclined, but in fact, most of them are in the middle, and they could go either way, but they're all passionately interested in this conversation, and it's making a difference. And really what we do is we talk to them about, try to understand their priorities. That's one of the things that we've been doing, and their priorities are really what I call the energy trilemma, but the priorities are balanced. They're first and foremost about energy security. That's affordability, reliability. They understand how important it is. they're also prioritizing the economy, and really that translates into their personal prosperity. And then environmental performance is important, but it's not perfection, it's just progress. Progress is important, not perfection. And so that's the energy trilemma. How do you balance all of those things? And when you solve it, I think you get the energy trifecta, which is, you find that right balance, and that is what we believe will unlock Canada's free enterprise, economy that's actually where we can actually meet the potential that we have as a nation. So I pulled a few slides because I think that what the polling that Canada Powered by Women has done is actually very reflective of what we as a network, all of us here in this room, are making a difference in. So just Canadians are connecting the dots. 84% of Canadians now want, they recognize that natural resources is important, and they want to see resource development. 80% understand the tie back to the economy and are prioritizing that. 67% are actually connecting the dots that without it, we can't fund the things that make Canada great. Like our social programs, our healthcare, our education, like they're connecting those dots. And 63% actually say that, and recognize that we're actually doing this better than anyone in the world. It's cleaner here. This is the energy that the world should be seeing. So this is, these are all great things, and it's huge progress. And really, it's thanks to the network, because it's the network that is actually telling this story in so many different ways, and people are seeing it. Again, you can't see this, but just another proof point. Last year when we did this poll, 51% of Canadians believed that oil and gas was critical to a strong and prosperous economy. This year when we did this poll, 71% of Canadians felt that we were critical to a strong and prosperous Canada. This is huge progress. And again, it's not just in Alberta. It's stayed the same in Alberta, which was already very high, but it's up in BC, up in Ontario, up in the prairies, up in Quebec even. And they've even tipped over to now the majority actually believe that. So this is great progress. So congratulations to all of you for that. One of the things that actually became very evident is that there's this me and there's this we perspective. And we learned by listening to Engaged Women that it was kind of hard to break those things apart. But on the me side, they would think about affordability. That was front and center. Energy, though, they figured was at the heart of everything. And Canadians really understand now it's energy that is the solution for affordability. And you guys had some great proof points earlier, like what your, the inputs that you have into your businesses, massive influence from policy. Bad policy made that energy unaffordable and critically damaging your businesses. So people get that, and they get it at the personal level, and they get it at their business level. The we conversation is really about how do we collectively make Canada better? How do we drive prosperity for everyone? And all this tariff talk has really exposed our energy and our economic insecurity, our vulnerabilities. It's threatened the very sovereignty of Canada. It's changed the conversation from coast to coast to coast. But now people are really understanding our self-reliant, or our significant reliance on the US, our biggest trading partner, and the we conversation has become much more at the forefront of what matters to Canadians. And the great thing is that energy is our trump card. It is, it's our trump card. First off, Trump recognizes that we are a critical energy partner. And being a North American superpower is where we need to end up together. And with our energy, we're actually going to be able to make a difference, and that will be good for all our industries. So we'll get there, I think. The great thing is we've ignited this massive support again for energy infrastructure, and the numbers are off the charts in terms of support for new pipelines. 85% of the country now believes we should be building pipelines and expanding our exports. And that's up more than 50% from just 6 months ago. And it's probably up more because these poll numbers were actually done before the election, actually, before all the campaigning, before people were really listening about the story. And then again, the all of the above energy strategy. Canadians know that we need more and more energy, and that every form that we produce in this country, we use in this country, is important. There's nothing that isn't recognized as critical. And as we continue to use more energy, we need more and all forms of it. So maybe I'll just say, how do we build on this momentum? Well, we have to build on that momentum. We have to double down in all the efforts that we're making on the advocacy side. We have to really maintain that sense of urgency. Like this is the moment in time to really push on this sense of urgency. And we're scared about what this government is going to do, but they're saying the right things. So we need to find ways to hold them accountable, and we need to get stuff done when we can. Mike and I have this thing that we call different planet syndrome, where we hear something that's like so far misaligned with our beliefs and values that we look at each other and we sort of say, did we wake up on the wrong planet today? It's usually when we're listening to CBC radio, another climate story. Anyway, sometimes it seems like our Western civilization is intent on forgetting the very virtues that we were founded and grounded on. Instead of embracing these virtues, though, we seem to have pressure to shift our worldview, scaring the daylights out of all of those who listen, always looking for the bad in things, undermining our self-confidence by trying to make us fearful of our future and ashamed of our history. So when you're in the flow of the news cycles, our politicians, activists, the media can make us feel like we're in a permanent state of crisis. Cultural criticisms everywhere, the climate crisis, the COVID crisis, the mental health crisis, the affordability crisis, the housing crisis. These are all crises, but they're not insurmountable because we have always, as humanity, met every one of these crises with ingenuity, and we can move through all of them with a system that allows us to actually do what we do best. As a civilization, we are perfectly capable of addressing these challenges, but we can't let ourselves nosedive into society that looks at capitalism and free markets with disdain, where religion's being diminished, where our family units are being broken down, where we disparage our history, and where we can no longer have balanced conversations and share viewpoints for fear of cancel culture. In the case of Bill C-59, the greenwashing bill, which is still on this government's agenda, they have not taken it off. The fear of dire economic consequences when we speak out loud, and we haven't canceled that policy. We need to actually hold governments to account as we work through this energy trifecta that we think that we can accomplish. So let's not allow governments to just be Band-Aids. That is what they're going to try to do. A project here, a project there, so they can say that they're doing the right things. We actually need to trust our free markets, trust our business leaders, trust our citizens, and get in action and embrace our chances to be part of doing some of those things that really matter, because that's what it really looks like when the best happens. So to all of us, let's keep working on these things. Our businesses deserve to take back our reputation. We're do-gooders. We're never perfect, but we're always well-intentioned and we're open to learn. So congratulations to you guys, the Canadian Coalition of Concerned Manufacturers and Businesses, and to everyone that's leaning in on making change and doing the forces of evil that we've actually been led astray by as a nation, and getting back on track so that we can actually hit above our weight in making the world a better place for Canadians and all our global allies, the developing nations, for everyone. So thanks again for the honor tonight.